now we're into an area that I'm extremely passionate about is leverage on time. So what are the areas where you're like, oh, this is great. I can figure out a way to really scale this and get more leverage and have great people work with the company or work with the media? And what are the things where you're like, this actually is a core Jason activity that I cannot outsource?
That's a great question. I think when a founder is at a crossroads where something is going really badly, like the company's imploding or the company's getting bought or they have a founder crisis with their co-founder, that's when you got to call in the fixer. There's no substitute for me coming in and guiding them through that storm. So I would say the storms, you know, a mini storm, no problem. But again, we're talking about serious, the boat's flipped and you got passengers in the water. Yeah, you're going to need me to get on the helicopter, get out there and Coast Guard it, whatever. The thing I've done in terms of leverage, which I think is something I discovered accidentally, was I started doing like an office hours type thing. And then I made it open to more and more people and then having a Slack. So I do a thing where, and I just got off it before this call, which is why I was 10 minutes late. Sorry. I have had about 10 founders on. 2 founders pitched me their 3-year model. So they said, here's our 3-year model. Here's what we're thinking, our 3-year plan. Yep. So I realized, because Doug Leone told me, Jason, hope is not a plan. I would rather you have a plan for the company. And that just literally burned into my brain. Like, Doug Leone is like super mensch.
He speaks, you listen.
Yeah. Doug Leone has my phone number and he calls me sometime. And I see Doug Leone comes to my phone. My heart rate goes whoop. I'm like, holy
mine
shit.
would too.
And that doesn't happen with anybody anymore. And I know
he's so great.
But he's got a propensity to just call people on the phone and have a 2-minute conversation with you. And this has happened 20 times in my life.
He more or less cold called the CEO of one of my angel investments on a Sunday a year ago.
This is his power move. Like, he just calls and you're like, hi, it's Doug Leone from Sequoia. And you're like, hi, Doug. Sometimes it's something completely random and sometimes it's something completely life-changing where he's like, oh, this LP would like to meet you and would you be open to that? And I'm like, yes, Mr. Leone. Anyway, when he told me that, then I started doing this with my companies. And if you are going through the 3-year plan and 9 other people are listening, and then you say, hey, what does the other 9 founders think? So those kind of group settings where I am not the only person, but I'm leading the discussion Socratically and asking the probing questions, man, is that a game changer for founders and for me? So that's how I scale myself. And I'm going to continue to do those kind of events. And then if I'm doing 4 days a week, I told my team, give me the list of the highest revenue companies in our portfolio that haven't been on the podcast. And LeadIQ, Fitbod, and Grin, I just did dedicated episodes with those 3 companies in the last week or 2. And I'm just going down the portfolio. And that's how I'm going to do it from now on. When the companies hit 10 million, 5 to 10 million in revenue, I'm going to join the boards. When they're under that amount, I'm going to have the team be board observers basically on those. And so that's my current plan.
That's another Honam. It's very similar to what he does, where he says, once you hit a $10 million run rate, even if you're one of my partner's investments, now you have my attention. And now I start evaluating to figure out if we should be the growth investor in this company.
Perfect. I think it makes total sense. There's a clear benchmark of where to get to. 17 managing partners and partners, not including Masa and the CEO of SoftBank's investment team, according to our quick research. Vision Fund has 10 managing partners, not including Masa. So yeah, it makes sense.
So on a per partner basis, yeah, you would be deploying more.
I think so, yeah. Also, I think the syndicate is turning into more of a platform than vis-a-vis Republic, opposed to a single person syndicate. So we did 2 deals this past year that were consensus deals. So we started this remote demo day, and I'm interested in your feedback on this, where we said, hey, here's 7 companies. Which ones do you want to invest in? When they broke 250 or 500, I think, we just said, hey, we'll do the diligence and we'll syndicate it. It's not necessarily Jason's deal. The syndicate voted collectively. So that's something I've got sloshing around in my brain is, hey, if the syndicate wants to invest in this company and 100 members want to put in $10K each and it's $1 million, who am I to stay in their way? We could just process it for them and take the carry, do the diligence, and manage the investment for them.
So tell me more about what it means for the syndicate to vote. Is it simple majority? Because remember, we're in a non-consensus-driven industry.
If 100 people out of 8,300 wanted to put skin in the game of 500K or more, it's such a small bet, and it's such a small amount per person. I think you can be pretty liberal, promiscuous. I don't know what the word here is. You can be pretty aggressive. I think aggressive is probably the best word. If it was 5 million, you really do want to have somebody who's the lead. So I think when you're making these 250, 500K bets, and it's 100 people at $2,500 or $5,000, if you look at it like an experiment,
Yep.
it's almost like a Kickstarter, like a small bet. So the 25K bet.
Can I give you some advice, Jason?
Yeah,
like
please,
what I would do?
Please.
So I think you need to knight some people within the syndicate to be smart money. To basically say you are signal creators.
Love that.
Because otherwise, you have literally written the book on how to become an angel investor. So you're going to attract every doctor and lawyer out there eventually. And so you got to make sure that
some of them are going to be really good angel investors. And so
it's starting to happen.
But the vast majority of them
promote them up.
Yeah.
Hey, everybody. I thought I would bring Christina Cacioppo. I pronounced it correct. I'm hoping, Christina.
You got it. Yep.
All right. You're the founder of Vanta. People have been hearing your ads on the pod for the last year. And I thought it'd be fun to have you on and you to explain why you created Vanta and what SOC 2 is and why it's important people get it. So let's start with, what is SOC 2 for people who are just realizing they have to become SOC 2 compliant?
For sure. So SOC 2 is, at its high level, it's a customer asking you to prove your security. So if you've heard about one, it probably comes, you're probably a B2B company and you're doing sales, and somebody asks you, hey, can I have your SOC 2 report? Or, hey, can you go through security review? Or they usually don't phrase it like this, but, hey, I'm going to put a bunch of data in your product and I want to know if you're actually going to be secure or leak it over the internet. So they ask you to get a SOC 2 report.
We know it's 20,000 to 50,000, maybe even 100,000. If you roll your own, you do it manually. What is the average Vanta custom spend?
Yeah, so the average Vanta customer spends less, so 10,000 on up from there. But then even in terms of the cost savings, it's a ton of time savings. So rather than giving up an engineer or two for a year, which is just super painful, so no matter how large your company is, it cuts it down to, can be 20, 40 hours on the low end.
All right, fantastic. Thanks so much for coming on. And you've been very nice to our audience, giving them $1,000 off, which is a really significant and generous offer. Go to vanta.com/twist, VANTA.com/twist. to get $1,000 off your SOC 2. Thanks, Christina. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much.